gold, and of crystal and silver, be gemmed with cat's eyes, with pearls and with rubies. With coloured floor, delightful, with beryl paved, pinnacled halls goodly and lovely, your palace is well wrought. And you have delightful lotus pools frequented by the Pathuloma fish, the clear sparkling waters fringed with golden sand, covered with various lotuses, with white water lilies overspread, entrancing, fanned by the breezes they waft a lovely fragrance around. On its two sides are well-created woodland thickets having both flowering trees and fruiting trees. Seated like a deva king on a golden-footed divan, on a soft rug of cloth, nymphs wait on you. Covered with all adornments, beautified with various garlands, they delight you who are of great psychic potency. Even as Vasavatan you rejoice. With drum, conch, kettle drum, with lutes and tam-tams you are filled with delight when dance, song and sweet music prevail. Manifold are these deva-like shapes, deva-like sounds, also savours and perfumes that are agreeable, and delightful the objects of touch. In this glorious mansion, our deva youth of great lustre, you shine forth with beauty like the rising sun. Is this the fruit of your giving donation or again, of practice of morality, or of paying homage with clasped hands? When asked, make this known to me. That deva youth, delighted. Of what deed this was the fruit? In the superb city of Kapilavathu of the Sakyans I was Khuddhaka, the horse of Prince Siddharth who is now Buddha, conatal with Suddhodana's son. When at midnight he departed for awakening, with soft net-like hands and copper-colored nails. He patted my flank and said, "Bear me, friend. When I have attained supreme self-awakening I will help the world across." When I heard his voice great joy was mine. With mind uplifted, happy, I neighed. In knowing that the son of the Sakyans, of great renown, had mounted me, with mind uplifted, rejoicing, I bore the man supreme. Having gone through others' territories, as the sun was rising he went on, without longing, leaving me and Channa behind. With my tongue I licked his feet of copper-colored nails and weeping looked on as the Great One went. Because I did not see the glorious Sakyan sun any more, I fell sore sick, quickly I died. And by his very majesty I inhabit this deva-like mansion in a deva city furnished with all modes of sense pleasures. And whatever joy arose in me when I heard of his awakening, by that very root of righteousness I shall reach destruction of the cankers. If you, reverend sir, should go into the presence of the teacher, the Buddha, with my words too would you speak in homage at his feet. I too will go to see the conqueror, man without an equal. Hard it is to see protectors of the world such as he. And he, grateful, mindful of benefits, approached the teacher. When he had heard the voice of the one with vision he purified the vision of Dharma. Purified of misbelief, doubt and vows, honoring the teacher's feet, he disappeared then and there. Vimanavathu. Mansion of diverse hue. The Bhagava was staying at Savathi, in Jeta Grove. The venerable Elder Monk Kumara-Kasspa was on a deva tour in the realm of the 33 and was saluted by a deva youth of diverse hue who approached him and stood with clasped hands stretched out. The elder asked, "Risen to a mansion of diverse hue, grief and fatigue dispelling, of diverse beauty, surrounded by a throng of nymphs, you, like the Lord of creation, Sunamita, do rejoice. You have no equal, from where then are better in renown, merit and psychic potency. All the deva host in the 30 are met to pay homage to you even as the devas to the moon. And these, your nymphs, on every side dance, sing, enjoy themselves. You, attained to the psychic potency of devas, are of great majesty. What merit did you perform when you were born a human being? Because of what is your brilliant majesty thus, and your beauty illumines all quarters. That deva youth, delight. Of what deed this was the fruit? I, reverend sir, formerly was a disciple of the conqueror named Sumedha. A worldling was I with no awakening, one who for 7 years had gone forth to monkhood into the path. When the conqueror Sumedha, the teacher, the steadfast one who had crossed the flood, passed out finally, I then paid homage at his thupa of jewels which was covered with a golden net, bringing peace to my mind. Not mine was gift, for I had nothing to give. But I roused others there. Pay homage to that relic of him who is worthy of homage. Thus, it is said, you will go hence to heaven. Single quote. Such was the benevolent deed done by me, for which I enjoy deva-like bliss. I rejoice in the midst of the host of the 30, for exhaustion of that merit has not come. Vimanavathu. Wearing polished earrings mansion. The Bhagava was staying at Savathi, in Jeta Grove. A very wealthy but unbelieving Brahman lived there who never gave anybody anything and came to be known as Never Giver. And he had told his son Matakundalan that he was not to go near the Bhagava or his disciples. He obeyed. When he fell ill, his father would not even afford him medicine, till, the son growing worse, the physicians, when sent for, said it was an incurable case. Now the Bhagava, emerging from the attainment of great pity, saw that he might save the son and the father, and standing near their home he sent forth his rays. The son, thrilled and joyful, saluted and lay back. Soon after the Bhagava left he died and was born in a 12-yojana mansion among the 33. The day after the funeral obsequies the father went weeping to the cemetery calling his son by name. The son, a deva youth, seeing him, appeared to the father as Matakundalan, weeping with arms clasped saying, "Ah, moon! Ah, sun!" Then the Brahman said, "Adorned, wearing polished earrings, bearing garlands, with an application of yellow sandalwood on your skin, clasping your arms you are lamenting. What is afflicting you in the midst of the wood? Made of gold and lustrous arose my chariot frame. I cannot find a pair of wheels for it. Through that sorrow, I will abandon life. Made of gold, made of jewels, made of rubies or else of silver, you tell me, dear Brahman youth, I will procure you a pair of wheels." The Brahman youth, to humble to Brahman for having failed to get medicine for his son, said, "They must be large like the moon and the sun," and he requested him thus. That Brahman youth spoke out to him, "The moon and the sun are both to be seen here. My chariot, made of gold, would shine with such a pair of wheels." Then the Brahman said, "Fool indeed are you, Brahman youth, you who seek for what cannot be obtained. I deem that you will die, for you cannot acquire the moon and sun." The Brahman youth said to him, "Which is the fool, he who weeps for what can be seen or he who weeps for what cannot be seen? Their coming and going is to be seen, the natural properties and beauty of both in their courses. But he that is dead and has finished his time is not to be seen. Which lamenting here is not the greater fool. It is true what you say, Brahman youth. Lamenting thus, I verily am the greater fool, like a child crying for the moon. I was seeking for him who is dead and has done his time." And the Brahman, coming to be without sorrow through that verse, spoke these verses giving praise to the Brahman youth. "Verily I was all ablaze, being like a fire over which ghee had been poured, now am as if sprinkled with water, all my sorrow ended. Verily you drew from me the arrow, the grief that was lodged in my heart, removed for me, overcome by grief, and father's grief for a son. So, I, the arrow drawn out, am become cooled, am freed. I do not grieve, I do not weep, having heard you, Brahman youth. Now, are you a devata, a heavenly musician, or Saka, bounteous giver? Or who are you? Or whose son? How are we to know you? And he spoke of himself to him. I am that son you cremated in the cemetery, for whom you lament and for whom you grieve, who, having done a righteous deed, has attained to the companionship of the 30. Brahman, little or much of giving a gift in our house we have not seen, or keeping observance days. Uposita, fortnightly fasting and confession. And such like, by what deed are you gone to a deva world? Then the Brahman youth said, I was diseased, afflicted, ill in my own dwelling, grievously sick in body. I saw the stainless Buddha, doubt-crossed, well-farer, of perfect divine wisdom. I, my heart gladdened, with a mind of faith, gladly reverenced the Tathagata with clasped hands. I, having done this righteous deed, have attained to the companionship of the 30. While he was speaking thus, the Brahman's whole physical frame was filled with bliss, and he said, Wonderful, indeed, marvelous, that this is the resultant of a deed of clasping the hands on reverence. I too, my heart gladdened, with a mind of faith, this very day turned to the Buddha for refuge. Then the Deva youth, encouraging the going for refuge and the undertaking of the moral precepts, spoke 2 verses. This very day, with a mind of faith, do you turn to the Buddha for refuge and to Dharma and to the order. Likewise do you undertake in their unbroken entirety the 5 steps in the training. Do you from now refrain from killing of creatures, do you shun what in the world is not given, drink no strong liquor, and do not speak a lie, and be content with your own wife. When the Deva youth had urged thus he going for refuge and the undertaking of the moral precepts, the Brahman, agreeing to his asking, said, You desire my good, Yaka, you desire my welfare, Devata. I will do your asking, you are my teacher. I go to the Buddha for refuge and to Dharma supreme and to the order of the Deva among men I go for refuge. At once I refrain from killing of creatures, I shun what in the world is not given, I drink no strong liquor, and do not speak a lie, and I am content with my own wife. Vimanavathu. Serisaka's mansion. After the Bhagava had attained final nibbana, the venerable Elder Monk Kumara-Kasspa together with 500 monks arrived at city of Setavya. There, dissuading the ruler, Payasi, from his distorted views. From then on, as he liked merit, giving gifts to monks and Brahmins, but giving them carelessly, not being accustomed to it. After he died he was reborn in an empty mansion in Serisa's grove in abode of the 4 great kings. It is sad, in the past some traders of Ariga-Magadha going to Sindhu and Sovira, traveling by night for fear of the day's heat, lost their way. With them was believing lay follower who had the qualifications for attaining Arahantship and had joined the traders to support his parents. To help him the Deva youth Serisaka showed himself with his mansion and asked the traders how they were come into a shadeless, waterless and sandy desert. They told him. To explain their connection, the first 2 verses were put in by the recensionists. Listen where the meeting between the Yaka and the traders then took place and how the well-spoken conversation was conducted by one and another, and all of you do listen to it. He who was named King Payasi, a companion of the earth devas, renowned, he, rejoicing in his own mansion, a non-human being, addressed the men, saying, In a crooked forest where no men go, in a waterless desert with little to eat, where it is very difficult to travel in the midst of a sandy tract, and where men may lose their wits through fear of uncertainty.